With this trick, I managed to remember and especially ingrain everything that I have learned. Attention! For this video, I want you 100% focus so that you will get the most out of this video. Do not distract yourself while watching it. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and commenting. Welcome to Mind Mentor. Today we will talk about how to remember everything you learned. And I will say in the beginning, this advice I will give you is about how you can learn and remember everything you learned. So, if it was through a book or some advice you heard from someone else that you thought was very valuable, you can use those methods there too. I will just refer to it in most contexts of reading a book, because this will make the example much easier. And since you're on self-improvement, you hopefully started reading. Well, so, if you have any other questions about how to actually learn, go and watch my video titled Learn Anything Faster. But now we will get to how to remember everything. So, well, the first tip is pretty simple. It is to write everything valuable down. So, how do I mean that? Well, let's say you read a book, and in that book you get the knowledge of what the 80-20 rule is. If you do not know currently what it is, do not worry, my next video, next Saturday, will be called the 80-20 rule, the most important rule in your life. Because the 80-20 rule is maybe the most important rule you can implement into your life. So, you read about that rule and find it pretty valuable. This means you will write that down with a pen and paper. Yes, a pen and paper, not digital. Because digitally, you can write so fast that you do not even think about what you are writing. So the thing you will write will be harder for your brain to remember if you do it digital. And this is all for the tip, to just simply write down what you found was valuable. And this is the first and absolute simple tip. But it has to be there because this is the foundation for the next steps. So, simply just write down what you found was valuable. And write it down so that you understand it. Also make sure to not overdo it with writing things down. I personally made this mistake with the first book I ever read. Because of self-improvement, I wrote down almost everything just in shorter, which was a good practice in the beginning, but it consumed too much time, and at some point my notes could have been a book by itself. So make sure to do small notes and not over-exaggerate your notes. The second advice is to implement whatever you have learned. And this step, as said before, builds up on the first step, because it is deeply important for you to actually use the knowledge you heard. Because of that, I often tell you advice in videos on how you can exactly execute it yourself. Because when the thing you learned is implemented by yourself, you will remember the step way easier than when you just take notes and want your brain to remember everything you wrote down. Because through the action you take, you connect the knowledge you obtained with a real experience of yourself. This is unbelievably valuable. That is also the reason why in good jobs you have to learn first in school, but you also have days which you will be in work. So, as an example, the things you learned in a police school, you can connect directly with real life experience, which will make you learn much faster and effective. For that, you also can use a top list for the most valuable things you learned this week and try to implement all of the knowledge into your real life to get real valuable experience and remember forever what you learned. The last step is more for books. But you probably have read a book if you are on self-improvement. And in the beginning, the book and its ideas will seem totally new and maybe even a bit abstract, because you never used the knowledge in your life and maybe didn't even know of it. So you stand at the beginning of this idea and just get the grasp of it in the first time of reading it, because everything seems so new. But if you reread the book after 6 to 12 months, you will get much more knowledge of the topics, because now you are further in the idea and learned this in 6 to 12 months more about the idea by implementing it yourself. Because there is that saying that you only remember 20% of what you read. But if you reread the book after some time, you will remember 40% of what you read. Because now you are already in this idea and topic of the book since 6 to 12 months and made your own progress towards it. So you get more and more in depth with more time and more rereading of the book. So, these were my 3 advice. I have also one more thing. I wanted to tell you that you can use all those 3 advices even for conversations you had with someone. So, you have with a business owner a meeting and talk about money. You could easily take notes in that meeting. The business owner will even appreciate you for taking notes of the things he says. Just ask beforehand so he doesn't think you write anything down without any explanation, as you will be interviewing him maybe, or work for the press. Or write it down after the meeting, so you keep the knowledge that you can transform into actionable steps, which the actionable step is our step 2. And after 6 to 12 months, you can have a second meeting with this guy. And so this time, you will have learned and implemented yourself many things and learned much more things about money, because you are much more into this topic since 6 to 12 months and you get more and more in depth with it. So the advice does not only work for books, but also discussions you have with other people. So, to conclude everything, in order to remember knowledge you obtained, you have to use 3 steps. Step 1 is to take notes. Don't write 10 pages on one little advice. Keep it simple and short and for you understandable. And write it down with pen and paper. Step 2, form it into actionable steps for you to better remember the knowledge you used in your real life. So you can combine experience that you connect with your knowledge and the actionable step. And so step 3 is to reread the book with the knowledge, or have a second meeting with the topic you had after 6 to 12 months, so you get more and further development in the topic and you will understand more of the topic. And as I told you at the end of this video, the advice does not only work for books, but also discussions you have with other people, or school, and many other things. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and commenting. And next week, you will get the next step. I am Mind Mentor, and I'm content to bring and help you for this journey. I will upload 1 video a week on Saturday, so you have enough time to get used to every step you will take. Until then, make your family, God, or yourself proud.